Hello, y'all. I am back again for another video. And this video is going to be about what is a good guy? You've heard that old saying, he's not a good guy. He is not a good guy. And I'm going to go in more detail and just give you my perspective of what it really means. What does it really mean when someone is not a good guy? So first I will start by reading some notes that I took and let me see. I'm going to read this to you. And this will help kind of give you the basis of my perspective. Okay. A person that is not a good guy can still have done good things in his past, but it still does not make him a good guy due to the fact he has ongoing predator behavior, such things as lying, stealing, not doing right by his children, and even going so far to abuse his own mother. Okay, I'm going to read this one more time. A person that is not a good guy can still have done good things in his past, but it still does not make him a good guy due to the fact he has ongoing predator behavior, such things as lying, stealing, not doing right by his children, and even going so far to abuse his own mother. So remember, I stated that when I say someone's not a good guy, it is a figure of speech for me in some sense. Okay, so with that being said, since it's a figure of speech, it's a term that I'm not going to lie, it wasn't a term that I heard much growing up. Okay. It was something. Hello, thank you so much for coming into the live, y'all. So since you just got here, I will go over what this subject matter is about. And believe me, this is not a man bashing video. It's not going to be like that. You're going to learn a lot. So since there's a couple of people that just came into the live, I'm going to read this to you. The term, what is a good guy? It's a term that I will use to help people, y'all, and understanding what this figure of speech means changed my life. And what I do is I attempt to try to change and make the life better for other people that confide in me and have problems with guys. Okay. And when I say guys, I mean males. And these will be at least teens to young adults to older men, middle-aged men. Okay, so listen, y'all. A person that is not a good guy, I wrote this. This is something I wrote. A person that is not a good guy can still have done good things in his past, but it still does not make him a good guy due to the fact he has ongoing predator behavior, such things as lying, stealing, not doing right by his children, and even going so far to abuse his own mother. Okay, and like I said, not being a good guy or saying someone's not a good guy, it's a figure of speech, y'all. So when I was growing up in St. Louis, Missouri, this was not a term that was put out there in the Black community. I mean, I think by the time I heard someone say they're not a good guy, I'm not going to lie, I heard it from the white community. But with that being said, the Black community needs to adopt it more than they do. And when I mean adopt it, utilize it more. See, in the Black community, we're quick to say someone's a good man or a good guy because he does good deeds. And that alone does not make him a good guy. Okay, so I'm going to give you an example. Ted Bundy or Maury Travis. they were serial killers, right? They actively, without remorse, murdered ladies on a regular, murdered many of them. Maury Travis was a black man. Ted Bundy was what America calls a white man. So would you say, and put this in the comment, I want one of y'all to answer this question. So would you say that a man that is a serial killer, would you say he's a good guy or a nice man just because he's friendly with people at the coffee shop? So if you see that Ted Bundy or Maury Travis was nice in certain aspects, are they still good guys? Let me see who's going to be brave enough to answer it. Is a cold-hearted serial killer that's murdering ladies like it's a new career, is that a good guy? Is it a good guy or a nice guy or a good man? I would like somebody to answer it that's in the chat, but if y'all scared, I'm gonna answer it for you. No, he's not. So somewhere in my background, yep, thank you so much. Jay Taco, probably not. Yes. Okay, so Jay Taco was brave enough to answer it. And I like how he worded, are you a man, Jay Taco? Or a lady? Because I just want to make sure I'm referring to you by the right gender. Let me know your gender so I can address you accordingly. So yeah, so Jay Taco said a man. Thank you. Okay, and I like that Jay Taco is a man. Okay, because I kind of want a man to answer it. Okay, because I'm talking about men. That's one of the things I do here on this channel is that I will consult with men about certain questions. And that's because I'm not a man. Okay, so Jay Taco answering the question validates my point. So from a male perspective, from a man's perspective, he does not consider Ted Bundy a nice guy or a good guy. You know, Ted Bundy supposedly, had a faith in the Lord. And he's not a good guy to the Lord too. Okay, so if you read through your Bible, it will clarify why these type of people are not good guys. They're cruel. So a person that's not a good guy, he has an ongoing behavior that is found out and is being found out that's considered what a lot of men would consider cruel, abnormal, mean, things like that. So, and I gave the example stealing and stuff like that. So there has been times where I have just outright stated how I feel. So I'll give you one example. There was one particular situation where a woman was being brutally beat with an object. And I was being told about it. I had photos sent to me. And someone was saying the person was a nice man. Someone had addressed the abuser and said he was a nice man. And that's because he was being nice to other people. But behind closed doors, he was brutally beating this young lady with metal objects, bats, all kind of stuff. So one lady told this man, well, I know you're a nice person, and it's the worst thing you can do for a man. When someone does that to a man and they tell them they nice and they doing something very cruel, they're destroying that man's life, okay? Because what they're doing is enabling him, and he may actually be kind of off in the head. And so when someone validates that he's a good guy, or a nice guy, he has no reason to change his behavior. And it's something that I will not do with my sons. I can say most of my sons are good guys or nice guys, but it was a point in my sons' lives where I said they are not good guys or nice guys. Okay. I've done lives talking about my middle son and the horrible attitude. And I'm going to say this, my middle son is not a good guy. My middle son told me this years ago. He says, if I were you, I would wish I didn't have a son like me. So even at many times, men that are not good guys, using this figure of speech, y'all, a lot of times they will tell you they're not a good guy. But the problem is their victims and people that they're interacting with don't listen to them. How unfair is that? Men can say many things that are very verbally honest about the fact that they're not a good guy. So this is when it runs into the difficulty, because I do it as a protective mechanism. So this is what good guys don't do, okay? If a guy is in general a good guy in this figure of speech, and remember, I pointed out earlier, just because some man, if I say they're not a good guy, it doesn't mean they never did anything good. A serial killer may donate $100 to a homeless person. If he's serial killing and actively serial killing, and he has not stopped, and he's doing it with no remorse, he's not a good guy. And it's because his lifestyle is very predatory and cruel. So if a man consistently lives his life doing cruel behavior on a regular basis, he's not a good guy. That's what the figure of speech means. And if you are ever confiding in someone and they tell you that that person that's harming you is not a good guy, you better listen. But the problem with this is, if there's like a very close relationship, so these are situations where people will not listen. Okay. Jay Taco, why you put laugh out loud? I like Jay Taco. He bringing some humorous energy in here. Jay Taco answered the question, probably not. So Jay Taco, which part did you think was laugh out loud? So I'll know. Yeah, I like laugh out loud and stuff. So a person that's a good guy, they try their best. They're actively making a daily effort to be self-aware and not do cruel things. Okay, so I'll use my middle son as an example right here. Okay, he's actively trying to help his girlfriend and some kids, right? As long as he's cussing me out and threatening me, he's not a good guy, because I'm his mother. He's not a good guy. He also won't be viewed as a good guy inherently with the police department. These are not good guys. Now, they can wear a mask and a facade, and in certain situations, they will be pretending to be a nice guy or a good guy, but these are not good guys. So hopefully men can kind of learn from some of what I'm saying, so we'll understand what it means. And I'll go back to the beginning of the video when I stated this. When I was a young girl growing up in St. Louis, Missouri, this was not a term I recognized. It was not a language that was used in the Black community, because it was a male-driven environment. And we were taught to see the best in men. And many of those men were not good guys. They cheated on their wives, abused their wives. Some of them were on drugs and did not financially support their families, putting their families in deep poverty. Many of those men knew for sure that those 3 kids are their kids and still chose not to do anything for the kids. And some of the kids could live right next door to them. These aren't good guys. Now, a guy that's not a good guy, he can become a good guy. He can become a good guy. I'll use myself as an example. I'm going to reverse it on you, okay? And use myself as an example. A lot of women are told when they're going through abusive relationships, when they try to help the man and hang in there and save the marriage, those women are told that they're good women. You know what I say now and what I tell people if these domestic violence discussions come up? I say, when I was with an abuser that was black in my eye, slapping me around, I had more than one abuser, y'all. I was not a good lady. When I voluntarily decide to allow any man to hit me whenever he feels like it, and I protect that man, and I say, I'm not going to call the police, I'm not a good lady. I'm not a nice lady as well when I'm doing that. You know why? When I'm allowing someone to abuse me, I'm using myself as an example so y'all can get to understand what my mindset is when I say someone's not a good guy. So I'm going to tell you when I was not a good lady. I was not a good lady when I allowed men to jump on me and beat me down, black my eye, and slap me across my face. Now, the world said I was a nice lady, but I was not, because to be a nice lady and a good lady, I need to care about myself and have dignity. So when you're allowing men to beat you down, if you're a lady, you're not a good lady. And as long as you think you're a good lady, you're going to stay in that situation. So what this does is, when I say I'm not a good lady, that's not a good guy, I'm creating a boundary that protects me. Because see, now when I see a man doing ongoing cruel behavior, whether it be to pets, his parents, his bosses at work, the community, his family, I say that that's not a good guy. And I don't let those type of people in my residence, and I don't deal with those type of people in the community, and I stay away from those kind of people. But it's a fear. People be very fearful to say that that's not a good guy. They're scared to say it. And so this is the thing that will happen quite often. It's a kind of like a trend going on. And ladies that have had an abuser, they will be at risk of this, okay? So what happens is, if they have males that are not good guys and they have sons that are not good guys, sometimes the sons take on the abusive patterns of their fathers. So the lady or the mother may break free of the abuser, but her new abusers become her sons. Now, abusive sons can be stopped. And when I say stopped, I don't mean killed. I don't mean jailed. They don't have to be jailed or killed. Some of them will be jailed. Okay, sometimes people may need incarceration to change. However, they're never going to become a good guy if they're unable to do the behavior. Okay, And one of the things I will not do is tell an abusive son he is a good guy. I use my middle son as an example. And see, you don't want to intermix things. See, this is another thing abuse victims do. Wives do it all the time. Their husband will beat them down on a regular, verbally abuse them, physically abuse them, and emotionally abuse them. But the wife won't leave because he treats his mother so kind. So she'll say, well, I'm married to a good guy. I got to give him a chance. He must be a good guy because he treats his mother kind. No, he's not a good guy because he's consistently beating his wife down. Remember what I read to you earlier? I wrote this myself. I'm going to read it once again. A person that is not a good guy can still have done good things in his past, but it still does not make him a good guy due to the fact he has ongoing predatory or predator behavior, such things as lying, stealing, not doing right by his children, and even going so far to abuse his own mother. And I'm talking about men that when I say not doing right by their children, they have access to their children. I'm not talking about a man where he doesn't know where his children are at because the mother is taking the children. He's not allowed visits. I'm not talking about those situations. I'm talking about a man that's just truly a deadbeat that is not doing anything to access or be a better father. He won't even send any money. He won't spend any emotional time with his children. He won't pray with his children, and he keeps having children. A man that's not a good guy will not be taking care of the current children that he has, but he will continue to be producing them, leaving a trail of different baby mothers, and he's not providing emotionally, physically, spiritually, or financially for any of these kids. He's not a good guy. So I want you to understand what the figure of speech means. And like I said, when I was growing up in St. Louis, Missouri, you didn't hear this, at least not in the Black community. Sometimes you may hear like, oh, well, they're not being a good man. But saying someone's not a good guy, it's very blunt, it's to the point, and it's a figure of speech that puts them in the best category. And if someone ever told you you're expressing your abusive situation that you're in, and someone tells you they're not a good guy, if the family relationship is too close, sometimes the person will defend the person. I had a situation like this over the past month where someone was venting to me. I said, they're not a good guy. So the individual kind of brought up some good deeds that the person did for someone that I knew. I said, it's still not a good guy because that good deed that person did was for that person. I'm having this conversation with you about how this individual is treating you right now. It goes along with what I read to you. He's not a good guy per se because he did a good deed in his past. That's a good deed. Serial killers have done good deeds, but they're not good guys because they consistently do cruel behavior on a regular and they have not changed. A good guy per se, someone that I would consider a good guy, he's a changed man. He's no longer doing bad behaviors consistently. He's actually changed his life, okay? So I'm going to give you some examples of when I want you to consider someone not a good guy. And I want you to do it even if you're male. Even if you are a male, I want you to start using this term. And it's not because you date men. I'm not talking about no homosexual stuff. I want you to be able to say someone's not a good guy so you can stay away from this person. And I want you to be able to understand it's okay to say someone's not a good guy so you can stop helping them, so you can stop being used. So going forward, they're not a good guy just because they're nice to you. You got to get away from that selfishness. If this guy is only nice to me, if there's a guy in the neighborhood right now and he only nice to me every morning, he say, "Hi, Miss Irene, how you doing, sweetheart? How you doing, beautiful?" He only does that with me, okay? But everybody else that walks by him, he tells me, "Look at all these motherfucking ugly people in the neighborhood. They're a piece of shit. See that Asian bitch right now? She a piece of shit. See that nigga over there? He a piece of shit." And he's confessing to me and explaining to me that from his perspective, all of these other people except me are nothing. They're trash. He even tells me, well, they should be killed by tomorrow. Hopefully they get blown up. He's saying all kind of crazy stuff. And so I asked the man, I say, well, have these people done anything to you? And he says, "No, Miss Irene, they just ain't fine and beautiful and nice like you." But I'm like, you don't know these people? So when he confesses to me and states the fact to me that he doesn't know him, and I can confirm it, the other people say they don't know him neither. Some of these people that he's talking about ask me, "Who's that man you be talking to?" Because they get a eerie feeling about him. They don't feel right. And so I know for sure they don't know one another. So if that's the way this person is behaving, I'm just giving an example so you can know what to look for. Do not base if somebody's a good guy based on how they treat you or how they treat others. They need to be consistent across the board. So if he's truly a good guy, he's going to be saying, "Hey, Miss Irene, how you doing, beautiful? How's your day?" And then he won't be saying bad stuff about the other people. He's not a good guy just because he treats one person well. Okay, so yeah, so Jay Taco says, "Yo, men will do what it takes to get, and they will misrepresent who they are and do whatever." Yeah. So Jay Taco, that's a good point he brought up. But good guys don't do that, Jay Taco. A good guy does not misrepresent himself. Thank you, Jay Taco, for bringing that up. A good guy, he does not wear a facade and a mask. Now, he may have his different personalities, like this is his work life. So this is how he's on his professional tip when he's on the way to work or at his job. He's treating his customers well. But this same man can come home and treat his family well. He can treat people at the grocery store well. He can treat waiters and waitresses well. Okay, so these are things that I'm going to name. I'm going to try to name at least 10 things that you may know about people or observe. And when you observe and know these things, I want you to say, they are not a good guy. Okay. So, 1, abuse of their mother, ongoing verbal abuse of their mother. Men that are in white supremacy organizations. So a man that say he's part of the Ku Klux Klan, he's not a good guy. He's a KKK member and he has a lot of hate in his heart. He's not a good guy. If a man is a Ku Klux Klan member, I don't care if he treats his mother, his kids, and his wife good. He's not a good guy because he's part of the Ku Klux Klan and he inherently believes that it's okay to hang Black people that have done nothing to him. So he's not a good guy. So 3, a man that financially abuses his mother or women in general. So financial abuse would mean not having any empathy for the mother, especially an elderly mother. Any man that will financially abuse his mother, allowing his mother to buy him a house, expensive motorcycles and things like that, expensive jewelry. So any man that financially or verbally or physically abuses their mother. A good guy, if he does not like his mother, he will disconnect from his mother before he does these things to his mother. Number 4, a man that steals and is a swindler. He's a swindler and he's stealing and he's always manipulating people out of their money. So this type of man will be willing to go to the local store and steal whatever he wants to steal. He's a active thief, whether it be embezzlement, identity theft, stealing from a store. He is a active thief. Number 5, a man that is on and off drugs. And I don't care what his excuse is that he's doing it. He's on and off drugs and he is not trying to stop doing drugs. See, a reason that a man that's on and off drugs is not a good guy, he's emotionally hurting people that love him. That's cruel. He's raising the cortisol levels of men and women and family members, mothers, his mother and father, anyone that loves him. A man that's on and off drugs, he has no emotional empathy for anyone, not even his own self. So he's not a good guy. Now, he can become a good guy once he's off of substances. Okay? And I've dealt with this in my own family realm. If I had a son that was on and off drugs, I would say, you're not a good guy. You're a drug addict. Matter of fact, you're a junkie. And I don't care how mad they get, but I will give you your status back when you can prove to me you can stop doing this behavior. So, okay, I named 5 things. So number 6, when someone's not a good guy, and this one will surprise you because inherently there's this kind of silent message that's being sent that men don't have to do this certain thing. Number 6, a man that's not a good guy has a nasty attitude, funky ass attitude. He talks to people real nasty. But this same type of guy, he won't talk to his boss like that or anyone that's paying him, anyone that's involved in his livelihood where they can fire him from his job or hinder him from being an employee. He doesn't talk to them with a nasty attitude, but everyone else, especially ladies that come in contact with him, he's talking to them real bad. You know, I had an aware narcissist that became that way. Aware narcissists, once they realize that you're not going to have sex with them at all or not very often, they will talk to you so bad that you feel like getting up, putting them down, y'all. That's one thing. A person that's not a good guy, he can talk to a woman so bad, y'all. I mean, nasty attitude, sarcastic. I'll give you an example of how it would sound. Hello, how's your day going? I'm fine. Yeah, I'm just watching TV. I heard what you were saying on that last call. Yeah. Yeah, uh-huh. Yeah, uh-huh. Okay, I'm gonna let you go. Yeah, because I want to watch my TV. I get what you were saying earlier. You love the Lord and stuff. Yeah, I get it. You love the Lord. Yeah, I know. You love the Lord, so you're not giving me no pussy. I get it. Yeah, uh-huh. Just call me back later, all right? And then before you hang up, you hear him saying, bye, bitch. Glad that bitch gone. You know, you hear a person mumbling stuff because they think you're not on the phone. So a man with a nasty fucking attitude, he's not a good guy. And it don't matter that he talks to his boss well because he's earning a living and making money. He's not a good guy. Remember, the good guy, it's a term and it's a figure of speech. Yeah, he's good in the way he talks to his boss, but he's only doing that because he's getting paid. You're not paying him. And a guy with a nasty attitude, he'll talk to men that way too. He'll talk to his own father that way. So, number 7, his children. A man that's not a good guy, it don't matter how he treat his stepchildren. It don't matter how he treat his nieces and nephews. It don't matter how he treat his mother and father. If he knows he has a child and he refuses to do anything for his own flesh and blood, and it's not a violent situation, he actually has a kind-hearted, sweet child, and he makes no attempt to do anything to begin, resolve, or rectify, or figure out if he can do something for his own 3-year-old. Let's say this is a 3-year-old, and this man that's not a good guy does this from the time his son or daughter's 3, from the time they born, throughout their whole life. And he never acknowledge, he never say hello. He just does it just because. It ain't nothing wrong with the baby mama. There's no problem. They reach out to this man and beg for him to just say hello. And he refuses, and he's mean, and no one can explain why he's doing it. And this is his own son or daughter. He's not a good guy. Okay, that would be number 7. Number 8, would be a man that has a long history of consistently abusing women. It's consistent. He don't have a problem being a compulsive liar to any woman, and he has a long history of it. Number 9, a man that's not a good guy, he gambles his money away. He's a compulsive gambler and expects other people to pay his bills, whether it be his parents, his siblings. He's constantly borrowing money from any friend or relative he knows, but he has a gambling addiction. As long as a man has a gambling addiction, he's not a good guy, but he can become a good guy. Any of these guys, if they change, can become a good guy. Okay. Number 10. This will be very, very important. A man that's not a good guy will not make any moral attempt to learn or educate himself on how to better himself spiritually and morally. So basically, that particular man, number 10, he's a degenerate. A degenerate is a person but in this case, we're going to be talking about a guy that's morally declining quickly. So number 10 would be a guy that is a degenerate, and as he ages, he does nothing to fix himself spiritually to make himself a better person. So when a guy does this, he's also not actively figuring out how to use any form of empathy towards other people. He's not a good guy. So that would be number 10. So abuse of their mother, number 1. Number 2, he's a KKK member. Number 3, he financially abuses his mother. Number 4, he steals or he's a swindler. Number 8, he consistently abuses women over a long period of time. Yeah, I gave you number 7. Let me see. I forgot what numbers. Let me see. 1, 2, 3. I don't remember. Go back and see what number 7. But number no, that's actually number 8. I didn't actually write down number 8. But number 6 would be nasty attitude. Gosh, this is unorganized. Number 10, that's the really important one. Number 9, gambling. Let me see. 1, 2, 3. I didn't write down 3. 4 was stealing. He's a swindler. Just go back through the 10 I named. Okay, so I'm just gonna name them. What I did come up with. He's abusive to his mother. I think number 7 was he doesn't do anything for his child. Okay, so yeah, I remember what it was. So number 1, ongoing abuse of their mother. Number 2, he's a KKK member. Number 3, he's a financial abuser. Number 4, he consistently steals. He's a swindler, embezzler, and all of that. Number 5, he has a nasty, funky attitude, especially towards women. He's a misogynist. Let's add that to number 5. His attitude also makes him a misogynist. Number nasty attitude. Wow, you know what? I just called these out on the top of my head. So what I'm gonna do is take the numbers away, y'all. So 10, he's a degenerate and morally declining. He has a gambling addiction. He's a drug abuser. He abuses his mother. He's a KKK member. He financially abuses his mother. He steals, nasty attitude. He's a misogynist. He consistently abuses women over a period of time. Yeah, this is why you definitely prepare for a video. Because let me see, I got 1. What I'll do is do a scratch out, y'all. So 1, ongoing abuse of his mother. That's number 1. Any man that's abusing his mother, He's not about shit. Okay. 2, KKK member. 3, financially abuses his mother. 4, he steals. He's a swindler. He's a con artist. Bad attitude. Consistently abusing women. He's a degenerate. Gambles. Yeah, he's not a good guy. It's ongoing cruel behaviors. Anything that you would consider cruel. Okay, cruel or has no emotional empathy. And he's doing it from a bad place in his heart. So I word it again like this. So this is how I put it in my notes. It's ongoing patterns of bad behaviors where they are not doing their best and what they're doing is cruel. And remember, I used the example earlier. I don't think that ladies that allow abusers to just beat on them every day, I don't consider those good ladies. You become a good lady to me when you attempt to stop it. Okay? You become a good lady to me when you go to jail for a few nights because you fought your abuser back. Someone becomes a good lady to me when they call the police and report it. Okay, so I gave you an example of how, because I don't want y'all to think I'm just hard on people. I'm hard on myself too. I've had people tell me, oh, you made it through that abusive situation. You're a good lady. And they're talking about I was a good lady when I was in the situation. No, I'm a better lady now because I don't allow men to treat me that way. Real good women, they don't allow that. Once they figure out a man is not a good guy and has decided to make a career out of beating the crap out of them, they find a way to get out of those situations. Some ladies are such good women that they will leave everything they have. They will leave the clothes on their back. They will pack up a couple of duffel bags for them and their children, take their family photos, a bar of soap, and they will flee. They will leave a big home and flee and go to a domestic violence shelter. I know a YouTuber right now that I'm subscribed to that did that. She took her son and daughter when they were very young. She left her husband and everything, and she fled to a domestic violence shelter. She's doing very well now. She has a nice big platform on YouTube too. Pretty lady. I've done reactions to her on some of my videos and some of my lives. But yeah, she's a good lady. Because for one, her son and daughter are still alive. She saved her family. She wasn't able to save that marriage, but that's a good lady. Now, a bad lady doesn't protect her kids. She protects the man. And she stays. And he ends up unaliving all of her kids and her. So that's not a good lady. So hopefully this helps. But this is my perspective. And sometimes when I'm giving advice, I'm going to correct it. So if you notify me that somebody's doing something really horrific, and just because they speak nice or talk nice, or you see them say thank you to a senior citizen or something, but you just told me that they go out at night and beat dogs. This particular man, he goes out every night and he just finds stray dogs and starts beating them for no reason. But you tell me that he's a nice guy because he says thank you, ma'am, and thank you, sir, to the elders at the coffee shop. This is what I'm going to say. I'm going to say he's not a nice guy. He's not a good guy and he's not a nice guy because you just told me that every night after midnight, he go beat stray dogs for no reason. I'm going to tell you that this is not a good guy. He ain't a nice guy neither. And normally when this happens, the other person will usually not say much, because when I say they're not a good guy or a nice guy, I'm going to bring the facts that the person already told me. I'm coming with just facts. Now, if I say it to a person and it's their son, daughter, no, not daughter, because it's about good guys, men that are not good guys. If I say it and it's their son or their nephew, and they're explaining abusive behavior that's going on, and I say he's not a good guy, the aunt, mother, grandmother, they may defend the son or grandson or nephew. They'll defend the person. And this is because of this. This is why this happens. If I explain to you that someone is showing abusive behavior and they're not improving, and I defend it, and I'm saying, no, that behavior that they're doing is not, it's not actually bad. Now, I could bring up another good deed they did or whatever. Every situation is different. But if the person, if the mother, grandmother, or auntie doesn't want to accept that their niece, son, or grandson is a bad guy, and they say, no, he's a good guy, this is why they're saying it. They're saying it because people feel like if they raise the person or help raise them, that it makes them look bad. So it's kind of like their narcissistic attitude is coming out. So they feel like if they say, okay, my son or grandson or nephew is a bad guy, they feel like that somehow that reflects upon who they are. And I don't have that problem. So if I say, my middle son is a bad guy, which I am, my middle son's a bad guy as of right now, I don't feel like because he's a bad guy, that's all my fault. And this is why. When someone's a bad guy, it's their choice. Much of what my middle son will do, I don't approve of at all. And I'll give you an example. Lighting up marijuana and drinking and smoking all in front of the children he's around at his residence. He's a bad guy. Let's add that to the list. Any guy that will light up dope and smoke and do marijuana all in front of children, that's a bad guy. In general, that's under number 10, a degenerate, someone that's morally declining at a fast pace. That's a bad guy. He ain't good just because he go to the local grocery store every morning and say hello to everybody. He's a bad guy because there's an ongoing cruel and immoral behavior that he's doing that's causing harm to people. It's harming children. For him to smoke and drink and use drugs, and his girlfriend does the same thing, he's not a good guy. So grandmothers, aunties, and mothers, they don't want to admit that the males in their family, especially sons, they don't want to admit that it's a bad guy because they feel like it's somehow their fault, or people are going to think they're a bad lady. They don't want to admit they gave birth to Satan. They think that that makes them look bad, but it doesn't. Because that person has to choose to become the devil. Being a bad guy, it's a choice. When someone decides they don't want to be a good guy, they're not a good guy, it's a choice they're making as well. If they made a choice to be a better man or a good guy, then that means they would be changing their behavior for the better. Please click a like, y'all, if you're in the chat, or just click a like. I forgot to say that. I don't get as many likes all the time because, for one, I don't beg for likes and I forget to say it. So, who's ever here, just click a like. And changing your mindset and not dissecting everything somebody does. This is why people in the United States get murdered so much, right? And this is why people in the United States will do this. They'll say, in 1960, he loaned me $50. In 1965, he gave me a ride to the store. In 1970, he brought some groceries over to my mama house. In 1975, he said thank you. In 1980, I saw him buy some shoes for some homeless kids. I'm walking you through this now on why people in the United States get killed by certain guys. Okay, in 1985, I saw him walk his kids to school. In 1990, I saw him helping a lady that was falling. He picked her up. So, what people in the United States do, they try to locate all of this evidence to determine someone's a good guy. Because there's still a lot of people in the United States that just don't want to say he's a bad guy. So they try to come up with this, it's similar to a fact-based system, but it's, let me see, I got a comment here. You came in right on time. So, Orladna, let me see. I'm going to try to pronounce your name as best as I can. Orladna Crudu. Wait a minute. Let me see. I see a Ari there. Let me see. Is this A-R-I? Ariadna Krula or Crudu? I like to pronounce people's names right. Ariadna Crudu. That's how I'm going to pronounce it. Ariadna Crudu, hello to you as well. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing your name right. Okay. So, thank you so much for tuning in to the chat. So, yeah, so I just named an example of how someone in the United States or anywhere for that matter can come up with all these things he did good, but they're leaving out a bunch of information. Okay, so they come up with all these things he did from 1960 to 1990, but they're trying to dissect it too much, but they're leaving out the fact that he abuses his mother, steals from local stores, he has a drug addiction, he's gambling, he has a nasty attitude, he's joining gangs, he's a KKK member, he has all of this other bad stuff, but that's being ignored because someone wants to say he did these certain good deeds from 1960 to 1990, and you can't do that when you determine someone's not a good guy, y'all, because it's a figure of speech as well. When you say someone's not a good guy, you're not in a court of law where you're dissecting everything he did good. It's just that at the end of the day, to determine that he's not a good guy, he's consistently doing cruel and predatory behavior, whether it be to his parents, his kids, or whatever. Look at it like this. What do you use to determine that someone is a good person? It's their consistency, right? So someone may tell me that I'm a good mom. Okay, that's a compliment that I will get quite often. Someone will say, well, you're a good mother. That's because I've been consistently, ever since I was a teenager, over decades and decades, showing caring behavior, showing I'm a protector, showing I'm a financial provider. People know I love the Lord and I try to teach my children about the Lord. I consistently, over decades and decades, try very hard to be a good mother. Much of what I do for my children, my mother never did it for me. For one, my mother struggled with consistency. So a lot of people will look at my mother like, okay, she was not a good mother in their opinion, because they don't see the nurturing consistency. Okay, so when someone's not a good guy, they just doing the opposite of what you would consider is a good person. So a good person, if you say someone's a good person, you see them consistently showing a good behavior. So when you use the figure of speech, they're not a good guy, you're just doing the opposite. And to determine it, you cannot be breaking down every little good he did. And this is why you can't do that. Serial killers do good deeds. Ted Bundy brought his mother gifts on holidays and birthdays. He called his mother. He told his mother he loved her more than once. Ted Bundy is still a bad guy. Ted Bundy is not a good guy. And I'm using an example of a man that actually treated his mother okay. But he's not a good guy because of the ongoing, consistent, cruel behavior that he really showed no remorse for. Even hours before he was put to death, Ted Bundy did not show real remorse for what he did. To most people, the behavior he showed would not be considered true remorse. People was all outside the courthouse screaming and hollering and saying, yes, they want him to die. And the truth of the matter is, a lot of people view those people as wicked. But those people, in that particular case, that's reactive abuse that they're putting on Ted Bundy, because Ted Bundy was not a good guy. So that's why they're out there saying, we want him dead now, kill him, execute him. You can watch the videos and see the people screaming and hollering. They wanted Ted Bundy put to death, and they wanted him put to death soon. Because in those people's mind, he's not a good guy. And so that would be a good example, but it's ongoing cruel behavior that determines this. And it's a term I will use. I'm very bold and outspoken with these things. And if you tell me that any guy, if you his mother, grandmother, or auntie, don't call me and tell me something cruel that your son, grandson, or nephew's doing, because I'm going to say he's not a good guy. And I use the example, a guy that goes out and he just beats stray animals for no reason. Sick, hungry, stray animals. He just started beating them for no reason. He's not a good guy. If you want to try to halfway give him a pass, you can say he's a sick guy. He can be another kind of guy, but he's not a good guy. And what makes him not a good guy is he knows what he's doing is not right. See, a person is not a good guy if he's able to go beat some animals down at night for no reason, but he can go to the coffee shop and be nice to his elders. That means he knows what he's doing. See, a man that's not a good guy, he's a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. He's 1 minute one way, and he's another way in the next 5 minutes. He's up and down. He's not insane. He's just not a good guy. I'll give you an example. Watch and I might put some videos down in the description box. Watch the Deanna Cook case. Deanna Cook was murdered by her ex-husband, and that case, I have my own perspective of it, right? That man was mean, and that's another type of person. A man that's mean, a very mean man, that would kind of go under that nasty attitude type man. A mean man, he's just real mean. He's an asshole. That man that killed Deanna Cook, he was real mean, y'all. He was a bad guy. So add that to the list. So he's a degenerate, he gambles, he abuses his mother, he's a KKK member, financial abuser, bad attitude, he's a misogynist, he's mean, he steals, he's a swindler, he consistently abuses women. These are bad guys. He's just not a good guy. Any man that's acting like this, they're not a good guy. And so many people would still be alive, but when you can't say he's not a good guy, guess what else you can't stop? You can't stop him from abusing you. See, once you determine he's not a good guy, I've loaned him money twice, and he has the money, and he refuses to pay me back. He's not a good guy. He has the money and just won't pay me back. He's not a good guy. Using that figure of speech, once you tell your mind consciously and subconsciously that he's not a good guy, guess what happens next? You can protect yourself. You'll stop loaning him money. That's how I stay out of abusive situations, y'all. I'm not being physically or verbally abused by any guy right now, whether it be my son, an ex-boyfriend, being abused by a marital partner, because I'm able to say, this is what I couldn't do before. I'm able to say, he's not a good guy. That's something that was missing in me many years ago. Oh, he blacked my eye. Well, he's still a good guy because he went to work this morning. He's helping me in the children's. No, he's not a good guy. That's why I have a black eye. Until you're able to say someone's a bad guy. See, check this out. Just saying he's not a good guy, you're not even calling him a bad guy. You almost giving him credit for his good deeds, but you're just saying he's not a good guy. I don't deal with those kind of people. I'm not loaning him money anymore. If he's not a good guy, he's not a good friend as well. And like I said, that's how I view the Deanna Cook case. That man that murdered her, he wasn't a good guy because he was so mean and cruel. Somebody that's not a good guy, that doesn't mean they're insane, y'all. There's many people that do not reach the standard of being considered psychologically insane. They're just not good guys. And someone just being selfish and just choosing to live kind of like a loner life. He's just made a choice. He doesn't want to be providing for people. He's a man. He doesn't have any kids. He just didn't want any kids. He's not a bad man. He has a right to not have kids if he doesn't want them. But remember, it was on the list for a man that attempts to do nothing financially or morally, spiritually. doesn't take his kids anywhere, won't call his kids, and it's not a bad situation with the baby mama. He won't even claim his kid, and the kid's biologically his in some cases. Back in the day, men, they could stay like, they kids stay the next street over. They will not acknowledge those kids. Many of them were married men too, but it don't matter. A married man that's just taking care of his kids at home and he's producing all these kids while he's still married to his wife, and all of those kids are his. They're all his, the ones he got by his wife and the other kids. Those are not stray kids. I don't believe in that term. Back in the day, they used to say, well, those are stray babies. No, those are his babies. Ain't no stray babies. He's purposely producing kids while married, but he only will help his kids with his wife and not those other children that he know is his. He's not a good guy. He's not a good guy. A lot of times in cases like that, them kids he got with other women, they look more like him than the ones he got with his wife sometimes. He's not a good guy. Because he won't even go over there 2 blocks over and give his kids that he had while he was married with other women. He's refusing to go help those kids. You know, it's been women, and I watched this on Paternity Court, and you'll be surprised how often this happens. It's been wives that they husbands have children with other women, and the man refuses to help the kids he got with other women. Guess who have to end up helping the kids sometimes, y'all? Sometimes his wife will help the kids. And the reason she does it is because she knows her husband is not a good guy for ignoring all these kids. And what makes him really not a good guy is when he knows he's not taking care of these kids and he keeps producing them. He just continues to keep having unprotected sex with people, leaving all these children without a father. It's just not right. These are not good guys. So hopefully this will help you out. So look at be willing to say it more often. It will be a protection for you if you're willing to say, he's not a good guy. It could be your own brother. He's not a good guy. Once you say that, you'll stop loaning your brother money. My nephew, he's not a good guy. He came over here and he was looking at one of my kids kind of funny, kind of like a predator type, child molester type person. You can say, I don't know, he's not a good guy. Stop bringing him around your kids. You can actually, the first step to protecting yourself is to recognize they're not a good guy and they're not a good person. And from that point, you will be able to make the correct decision. But as long as you think that your abuser is a good guy, you'll never be able to protect yourself. Whether it be it's your brother, your son, cousin, neighbor, friend, coworker. And this is a term that anyone could use. If you're in a employment situation and you have a really cruel coworker that's a male, and it's just so hard to work with him. He's never on time. He treats everybody cruel. He's just hell to work with. You got to say he's not a good guy. He might be so bad where you decided he's such a not a good guy. You want to find you another job so you can get away from this narcissist. That's the first step. Don't be afraid to use it. I will say it periodically. here and there. I will allow a person to vent, but I don't care. Like in an example, when I use the example of the man that goes out after midnight and he just randomly beats stray hungry dogs. That's an ongoing, cruel, very unusual, abnormal behavior. And it's nothing else you can tell me about him. You can't tell me he kind to his mother. You can't tell me he bought his mother a house. If you call me next week about the same man and you tell me, well, he's still beating those dogs after midnight. His mother don't know he doing it, or his father. I'm going to give you the same answer. He's not a good guy. He's not going to become a good guy just because of another good deed or behavior. To be considered in this figure of speech category of not being a good guy, there's an ongoing, cruel, predatory behavior that would basically make him not a humanitarian. He doesn't care anything about human life or have any regard. He has no empathy in a certain major area. He's basically like a degenerate, y'all. That was number 10 on the list, remember? A man that's morally declining at a fast pace. That individual is just not a good guy. And trust me, these are the things you'll be able to do once you understand when to say it, because I'm explaining to you when to say it. Even if it's just you say it to yourself. You'll stop loaning your money out. You'll stop answering your phone. You'll stop calling certain people. You'll be able to give better advice. You'll make people more aware. Because people that will not say, he's not a good guy, they remain in a very naive box, y'all. They will continue to be used, physically abused, financially abused. They're just an open target for a predator. And you can say that this person, even if it's a relative, you can say they're not a good guy without it reflecting on you. Him being a good guy ain't got nothing to do with you, because people make their own choices. And it will prevent you from being used and abused. That's all I can say. So don't be afraid to say it. It's not a bad thing. And it don't make you a bad person because you use the figure of speech. If they not a good guy, it's because of their own actions, y'all. It has nothing to do with you. And some guys become good guys. The worst thing you can do to a guy that's in this phase of life showing ongoing cruel behavior towards others is to lie to him, and while he's doing this behavior, tell him that he's a good guy and he's not a good guy. Do you know that a lot of fathers, do you know why they're not deadbeat fathers? Because early on, when they got on the road to even attempting to be a deadbeat father, their mother told them, or their father in some cases, like, man, that ain't right how you treating your kids. That's your kid. You shouldn't treat your kid that way and not support your kid in any way. And you know what they tell their son? They say, man, you're not a good guy for that. So guess what? He works and decides that he wants to be a better guy because it hurts him when his mother or father or grandmother or grandfather tells him he's not a good guy. The father may say to him, hey, you only got one child, man, or 2 kids. Like, you can't help your child. So it hurts a man when you tell him, when you tell them that they're a good guy and they're not, because he doesn't know that he needs to change anything, and he may actually believe you. Some people not mentally all there, y'all. Sometimes people only know what they're taught. If I had a male in my house that was like breaking my things, y'all, and I constantly said, "You're a good guy," how does he know to stop the behavior? I will tell a guy in a minute, "You are not a good guy. You are not a good guy, and you are not a good guy to me." And making someone aware of that over time, it'll make them back off too. You will repel a lot of narcissists. You will repel a lot of bad people. They'll just get away from you because you're letting them know right up front. You're not no good, man. You're not a good guy. You ain't paid me my money back. You're an abuser. And this is another type of person that's not a good guy too. I'm going to give you the category of this type of man. He don't curse. He's calm. A lot of these type of men, I put them in the category, some of these religious hypocrite pastors. Some of them are not pastors. You can be a religious hypocrite and you don't even go to church, but you're a hypocrite. But they're taking large sums of money from their family. They don't care if it's their mother or father. They don't care if their grandmother is 80 years old in a nursing home. Taking large sums of money and allowing elders to make large purchases for them that puts their elders in debt, those aren't good guys. But they'll never curse. They'll never name call. But they're constantly robbing their elders' accounts. Those are not good guys. I watch videos where you got sons, grandsons, and nephews. They've taken robbed their parents' and grandparents' accounts and almost took out their whole retirement, y'all. And I'm talking about big bank scandals. Those are not good guys. Leaving their elders in crappy nursing homes where they barely have anything to survive because these sons, grandsons, and nephews, little cousins, or whatever they are, they leave their elders out to dry because they're not good guys. They took everything. Some of them will take it all, and one category was the drug addict. A drug addict is not a good guy. But if he can get off drugs, then he becomes a good guy. But as long as a man is on and off drugs, he's not a good guy. He's drug addicted. You know, being a good guy is something you earn too. It's a status that you earn. Some people will be able to become a good guy, but some people won't. It just depends on how bad the narcissism is. Some people just won't be able to pull it off. So this is my perspective, y'all. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you. Bye. And thank you so much for the comments, y'all. I appreciate you so much. And again, Jay Taco, I appreciate your interaction. And Ariadna Crudu, thank you so much for saying hello and for posting the heart. I appreciate y'all so much. So use this figure of speech more often, and it will help free you from a lot of abuse. You will be able to help free others. And I gave you a complete breakdown of what it is. A person that is not a good guy can still have done good things in his past, but it still does not make him a good guy due to the fact he has ongoing predator behavior, such things as lying, stealing, not doing right by his children, and even going so far to abuse his own mother. And I'll add, abuse his own father. But it's really bad when they do it to their mother because it's a male and he's supposed to be like the protector of his mother. I mean, come on now, you already know you can probably beat your mom up. A male is usually stronger than his mother when he gets to a certain age anyway. So that's why I wanted to highlight mother. He's not a good guy. Most men are not gonna fight their fathers. Most men will try it with their mothers. So not being a good guy, remember, is a figure of speech, and use it. And if you ever hear me say it on this channel, I have this video so you will know exactly what I mean. I'm not scared to say it. I gave you a list of the type of men. They could be a teenager. They're not good guys. If they're not a good guy, they're not a good guy. I hope this video helped y'all. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you. Bye. Tune in for more, y'all.